Hey everyone, another video here. This one about plagiarism versus paraphrasing. This is something a lot of students struggle with. They don't really know how to take information from a reliable source that they found and then put it into their own words. Often students feel like it's just changing a couple words means I'm not plagiarizing. You can see the quote there, but I changed a few words around. That's not it. That's not all that you need to do. So let's take a look of an example here that's been plagiarized. On the left, we see the original text. Moreover, small farmers could not compete with wealthy Romans who were buying up land to create latifundia, or large farming estates. These large landowners, rich landowners, used a new source of labor, the thousands of prisoners brought to Italy during the wars, and by using these enslaved people to tend their crops, wealthy Romans could force owners of small farms out of business. The plagiarized version over here says small farmers couldn't compete, which is pretty darn similar to the first sentence. They've just removed moreover and changed could not to couldn't. That's not really a significant change. Same with changing rich to Roman, or wealthy to rich. Not a big change. Who are buying up land to create large farms, latifundia. These rich landowners used the source of labor, the prisoners brought to Rome during the wars. By using slaves to tend their crops, rich Romans could force owners of small farms out of work. Again, this was not enough of a change. We just changed work and business. We've changed rich and wealthy again. Not meaningful changes, not really summarizing in your own words. In order to paraphrase, we need to put some of it into our own words and show that you understand what you read. When you just copy it down and change a few words, you don't show that you understand what you read. But by rephrasing it, you do. Now, I would avoid using the word things here. How about situations, or the situation became difficult for Rome's small farmers after the Punic Wars. Rome brought prisoners that they conquered back to the Republic who worked as slaves. Because of this, large landowners did not have to pay a labor source and could sell their crops at cheaper prices. Small farmers could not compete with these prices, and many had to sell their land to pay off their debts. This is paraphrasing it. It is summarizing it in your own words. The student clearly now understands it in their own language and has rephrased it to show me that they understand in their own language. So you want to do the same thing. You want to change the language significantly. Do what we practice in class. Read a paragraph and then take notes on it. And when you're taking that note, you're not copying the information, but you're thinking about what you read and then putting your thoughts on the paper. And when you paraphrase, make sure you underline it on your note sheet. And if you directly quote something, make sure you put that in quotes. We should not have entire, 2-3 sentences of quotes. You might have 1, maybe 2 quotes per page on your entire website. So do not rely on quotes. And again, practice the skill of changing things. So here again, we see the difference between the one that's plagiarized on top and the one that's been rephrased at the bottom. I'm not going to read them to you again, but feel free to pause the video now and look at how much of a difference there is between the top one and the bottom one, and between this one and that one, and this one and the original. So here's another example. The ancient Romans had a rich mythology. And while much of it was derived from their neighbors and predecessors, the Greeks, it still defined the rich history of the Roman people as they eventually grew into an empire. Roman writers such as Ovid and Virgil documented and extended the mythological heritage of the ancient Mediterranean to give us such long-lasting and iconic figures such as Aeneas, Vesta, Janus, and the twin founders of Rome itself, Romulus and Remus. The plagiarized version is on the right there. So the Romans, they just took out ancient, had a rich mythology that was derived from the Greeks. Would you use the word derived in your normal language? If not, then this is a time to change that. Okay, so the Romans had a rich mythology that they borrowed from the Greeks, that developed from the Greeks. It still defined the history of the Romans as they grew into an empire. Roman writers Ovid and Virgil documented the mythology of the ancient Mediterranean. So here they've cut out a lot more than in our last example, and so maybe they think they're better off because they've cut out a lot more. But what they've kept, they haven't significantly changed, paraphrased, or put into their own words. So that is plagiarizing. If they were paraphrasing, it might sound something more like Rome's mythology was influenced by the ancient Greeks. Some of their most famous authors, Ovid and Virgil, expanded upon the tales of this earlier civilization. They gave us myths like the story of Romulus and Remus. Again, this is summarizing in your own words, paraphrasing in your own words. So if you can, once again, you can compare the two of them and see what a big difference there is between the top one and the bottom one, and especially how similar these two are and how different these two are. Practice this skill, go back over the video and watch as needed so that you know how to paraphrase as opposed to plagiarizing. Plagiarizing is an automatic 0, and you will be forced to resubmit the assignment as well. Good luck on your projects. I look forward to seeing how you do.